Good morning. My name is 12 Gauge. If this is your first time to my channel, thank you for coming. There is a red dot or a red little arrow at the right hand corner of the screen. Please subscribe if you like the content that I'm about to present. Take a look around the library and see if you enjoy anything that you see. And if you're a returning person to my channel, thank you for coming back and giving me another chance to give you the information that we all like to hear about. You know, the title of the show says Idaho 4, the interviews. You know, I had a lot on my mind. I went to bed early, and I've had these for a while. I thought that I'd finally unload them and get rid of them out of my email so that I could to finally get these out and about. You know, there's interviews, there's pictures, there's statements, all kinds of stuff. So I hope you enjoy what we're about to see. Some of this stuff has to be downloaded a little bit, so it might take a couple minutes. Let's start with the first one here.
And we believe that Maddie was on the outside and Kaylee was on the inside. Believe that Maddie was on the outside and Kaylee was on the inside.
According to Coroner Mabbitt, the killer's first victim was Maddie, says Steve.
And then from Maddie, he moved on to your daughter.
See, that was the first one. She mentioned that Kaylee was on the outside and Maddie was on the inside. And it stated that, you know, for a long time they didn't know the locations of the bodies. But when she came out and spoke, she kind of broke it down for everybody. This picture right here was intriguing to me because it is a ladder just laying there, right? And most people, they get caught up on this ladder, and a lot of time they say, well, that ladder was used in the crime. The ladder was used in the crime. And yes, you're right, Heather. At the very beginning, we were told that they were found stacked on top of each other. Kaylee was on on Maddie. So that's why I found that, and I wanted to play that. This ladder has caused a lot of controversy. It's caused a lot of arguments. It's caused a lot of fights. And still nobody really knows whether this ladder was used in the commission of the crime or not. I mean, all we know is that one moment it's laying on the side of the house like this, and the next moment it has crime tape around it. So you really don't know what's up with this ladder, but I can tell you, it's one moment it's laying down, and the next moment it's upright with crime tape around it. So I just wanted to show that to you guys. Here's another interview.
He basically just graded our papers and was there if we needed extra help outside of class. He wasn't always there. He would come in, be there for 10 minutes, leave, not say much. So he didn't really do that much, but you could tell there was some off about him. Very quiet, calculated about what he says. And you can kind of see that in the videos of him.
Okay, let's play that again because this is one of the students talking about Mr. Koberger. So listen to what he says. I mean, do you think that he was paid to say this? Or do you think that he was just saying this from his heart?
He basically just graded our papers and was there if we needed extra help outside of class. He wasn't always there. He would come in, be there for 10 minutes, leave, not say much. So he didn't really do that much, but you could tell there was some off about him. Very quiet, calculated about what he says. And you can kind of see that in the videos of him.
So he said he didn't really do much. He wasn't really there a lot. But when he was, he could tell that there was something off about him.
At 9:12 a.m. and staying for about 10 minutes. But that isn't the only location police placed Koberger that day in the hours after the murders. According to the probable cause affidavit, Brian Koberger's cell phone records show him moving south from Pullman, Washington, where he lived in an on-campus apartment at Washington State University, towards Lewiston, Idaho, about a 50-minute drive. The town of Lewiston is located on the border of Washington State, where just across the Snake River is the bordering town of Clarkston, Washington. It was here at approximately 12:36 p.m. November 13th, 2022, when cell phone records placed Koberger's vehicle here on Port Drive next to Kate's Cup of Joe coffee stand. The surveillance videos here at the U.S. Chef store show his white Hyundai Elantra drive past. Then, just 10 minutes later, at 12:46 p.m., Koberger's cell phone records place him at the nearby Albertsons grocery store. Surveillance video at 12:49 p.m. shows Koberger walking through the store and purchasing unknown items at the checkout. He leaves at approximately 1:04 p.m. The probable cause affidavit does not indicate location data for the next few hours of the day. It isn't until around 5:30 p.m. that the affidavit indicates Koberger's cell phone located in Johnson, Idaho. But there is no Johnson, Idaho. The affidavit may have meant this community of Johnson, Washington, right on the border of Idaho State. It's a location consistent with the affidavit's route, and it's surrounded by cell phone towers. For 3 minutes from 5:32 to 5:36 p.m. November 13, 2022, Koberger's cell phone pings here near the community of Johnson. But then his cell phone goes dark for 3 hours. The affidavit notes that this location in Johnson is consistent with the phone being in the same area that it traveled in the hours immediately following the murders. And according to the affidavit, from 5:36 p.m. when it was in Johnson until 8:30 p.m. November 13th, Koberger's phone stopped reporting to the network, meaning he turned it off, put it in airplane mode, or the phone was in an area without cell coverage. While the probable cause affidavit does provide new revelations into the movements of the alleged killer in the hours after the murders, there are still many questions that remain. Why did he drive so far to the grocery store? What did he buy there? Did he get rid of that murder weapon and other incriminating evidence along the way, or during that 3-hour period his phone went dark? For now, we wait, and answers may only come during his trial. Report.
Why did he go to that grocery store? This is the cell towers along that route. As you can tell, they're high up above on the mountain area, so I don't know why there would be no cell coverage. But that's an interesting question. Why would he go all that way to Albertsons when the shopping was better in Moscow?
Roommates who survived were also likely asleep, but that they were in the basement. And when they woke up, they thought a roommate had passed out, initially calling friends over, who discovered a much more sinister scene.
This morning, police in Moscow, Idaho, revealing for the first time that before a 911 call was made, the 2 surviving roommates of a deadly rampage that killed 4 students summoned friends to the off-campus home, telling authorities they thought someone on the second floor had, quote, passed out and was not waking up.
What I do know is that they woke up later in the morning. They recognized that something was amiss as far as they believed that the roommate wouldn't wake up. They called some friends. The friends came over. They called 911, and that's when the officers arrived.
Police say multiple people spoke with the 911 dispatcher before an officer arrived.
You have victims with multiple stab wounds. How does that translate to my roommate's passed out and won't wake up?
So I haven't seen the scene, and I'm not exactly sure what they saw in the morning. But what we believe we know is that when they woke up, they believed that the roommate was still passed out, wasn't responding, and they called some
responding
friends.
to what?
I'm not sure.
Detectives do not believe anyone at the scene was involved in the crime. This TikTok.
Listen to what she said at the very beginning. This is one of the reasons that I played this. Listen to what she says about the surviving roommates.
Roommates who survived were also likely asleep, but that they were in the basement. And when they woke up, they thought a roommate had passed out, initially calling friends over, who discovered
They were in the basement. This was early on footage, so it's like, was everybody scrambling around to try to get the Well, I can tell you, Thunderclap, I'm not a liar, so if you think I'm a liar, you can go ahead and leave. I mean, I'm not trying to perpetuate lies or anything. I'm just showing what I found early on, what I've had all along. So it's sad that you don't believe anything. That means that you're very closed-minded to any kind of different theories out there. So what do you think? You think that he did it or he didn't do it? And here's another picture of Maddie and Dana on that balcony. And I thought this picture was very, very intimate, very, very, very well tastefully done. A lot of the pictures that you show them of them, it's kind of revealing, but this shows a little bit of how close they were together. And this is a map of the house, obviously. This is the third floor. This is the room where Kaylee and Maddie were found. Kaylee's room, obviously, and there's the middle stuff. And this is just a map of from Pullman to Moscow. You know, it's pretty straight shot. I never realized that it was a straight shot like that, you know. I didn't really so just a bunch of stuff that I found that I keep finding. This is the slider, obviously. You can see the cabinets back there. You can see the evidence tape on the slider. A lot of people say the slider door lock was broken. That's yet to be proven one way or the other. And I've heard a lot of people talk about the kitchen area, how bloody it was, and there was blood on the floor and all kinds of stuff. You know, the classic horror movie type stuff. But as you can see right there, not an ounce of blood that's visible to the eye. But, you know, the more graphic and absurd it is, the more people will believe it. Thank you very much. I wasn't kicking you out. Don't get the wrong impression. I was just wondering what your statement meant. And this is a photo that I was trying to see if you could possibly see that camera on this apartment right here. Because Swamp Rose and I had talked about this for a long time. And she even showed a camera on like an awning right here. So if this building wasn't in the way, you could see a lot more, I guess. I guess it's from the angle that this was taken. So it's like right here somewhere that camera's supposed to be, that captured the triangulation of them being dropped off and everything, supposedly. So it's always interesting to me that there's so much traffic on this street, but you know, how in the world can a car, and I know this is a different day, I know this is, you know, it's obviously snowed and all this, but I know that I've seen multiple cars all over this area park like this. There's been some on this side, up the hill on the other side of the Queen Road apartment. I've always wondered, how in the world did a car supposedly get in there that quickly, maneuver around all those vehicles? Even in the back of the Queen Road apartment, there was cars along that back side of the parking lot. There were cars parked, obviously, in the parking lanes. How in the world can a car go through all that? I know it's possible, but you don't think that you're going to have to go a little slower, especially since the weather was kind of nasty that night? You know, you'd have to kind of slow down a little bit, wouldn't you think, not to sideswipe any of these vehicles? Because I worked in a city where a lot of people, it was a college town, so a lot of the traffic violations were swiping parked cars because the streets were not narrow, but the cars usually parked on the road. And a lot of the citations were due to sideswiping vehicles. So think about being intoxicated and driving around a college town and accidentally sideswiping a vehicle, especially if it's dark. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but imagine supposedly this area was pitch dark, it was really dark. So unless you've been here before, you're not going to understand the layout of these vehicles being parked. I mean, even if you turn on here and you see all these vehicles, and then you see up the hill that the vehicles are on the left side, I mean, it's very steep. So you're going to have to take your time, But as we've seen in other footage, that a vehicle was going pretty quickly around these houses. So I don't know how that makes sense, but okay.
Repairs are on any of the floors without everybody in the house knowing it.
Cole Alternator says the building doesn't offer much privacy and was well known to students.
A lot of students are very familiar with the inside of the home around the community. There have been thousands of people that have likely been through it throughout the years. Even when we had it, there were people that would come and knock on the door or walk in thinking that it was somebody else's house.
Now is the school.
I thought that was interesting that he said even when they had it, people would just walk in thinking that it was somebody else's house. How could that be that people just walk in randomly? That'd be like right now at this time of night, somebody just walks into your home thinking that, somebody else lives there. Here where I'm at, it's 2 a.m, or it's actually 2:30. So that would be like people coming home drunk from the bars and stuff, or intoxicated by something else. And they just walk into your home being like, oh, hey, I was in the neighborhood. I thought I'd stop by. Can you imagine living in a house where people would do that, like all hours? And you not even realize that? I mean, it's just crazy. Just crazy. Yeah. I mean, you have that dog, but their dog didn't seem that aggressive. I mean, maybe it might have been. Who knows? I mean, I didn't know their dog. But would he have even barked if he recognized you? You know what I mean? Like if you've been there more than a couple times, your scent's gonna be, around the house, even if you can't smell it. You know what I mean? Like the dog can recognize you from a distance. I've always heard that dogs can smell things further away than humans, so their sense of smell is very, very intricate. So, that being stated, maybe that dog knew a lot of the people that came in and out of that home. And this is another photo. Thought this was quite interesting because the couch is still there, the chair's still there, the trash is dumped. I don't know if the police dumped this stuff out or if or that's how they found it. Once again, the door looks like evidence tape is shut. The door's shut. Evidence tape. Looks like some juice or whatever is on the table right there. And the bar stools are still there. Did y'all ever find it interesting, like whenever you see another picture and these bar stools are laid across the bottom, like to keep the door from opening up? Do you think the police put that there, or do you think that was there the night of the crime? I've heard a lot of theories about that, but I don't really remember when those bar stools were placed along that back slider. See, it doesn't look like they're there now, and the evidence tape is shut the slider door. I don't know if they fixed it or if they found a way to well, we're going to put the tape there, so if the tape's broken, we can tell that somebody's been in the house. But I've seen pictures where these bar stools were laying on the floor against the slider. I don't know if the police put that there or not. Okay, Jeremiah, the police put that there. I didn't remember, so I didn't really realize, when that happened. And you notice that this window right here, the police and the investigator, they spend a lot of time on this window. And it makes you wonder, because this is the one with the screen taken off. And I posted a picture in my community tab yesterday now, where it showed a picture that looked like Xana's face on the top. And there was like a bunch of people on the ground right here. It was just an interesting photo. I don't know how they got the reflection just so perfect off the person to put it on the window. I don't know if it was photoshopped. I don't know. But this was Dylan's room right here. No. I'm mistaken. This is... Where am I? I thought this was Dylan's room. Because it goes in like this. There's the pantry right here. And then it goes into the stairs, go up. And the room's right here. Because there's no windows on the side over here. So this faces the street. This faces King Road, actually. This is the windows. So my theory has always been this, okay? My theory has always been this, and people can call me crazy or whatever, but nothing's been stated about this portion. This generation that we're dealing with here, they have their phones on them 24/7. They're always having that camera rolling. They have Snapchat going off. They have a bunch of things always recording the moment. I've been wondering if possibly her or Bethany captured any video or any photos of the perpetrator. Because look how close that window is to this area. And look, these lights are on. These lights were on during when that perpetrator came through whatever area. So look how close. All she would have had to done was just started recording. The perpetrator goes out the slider, goes through this area, and perfect shot. She could get him here, 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 or here. Or just record the whole thing. Him getting in the vehicle, driving off, it's just interesting. And just interesting with the perspective of today's generation, how they capture everything on video or photo. And here's a brighter picture. I brightened it up so you could see a little more inside the house. Like I said, there's some orange juice, and this looks like a coffee bag or something. There are the bar stools, obviously, in the trash. And there's the couch. But you get what I'm saying as far as these windows? They're in perfect proximity. They're low enough to capture anything coming ground level here. And they're high enough to capture anything going along the roadway. So I thought that was quite an interesting thought on my part. Not that, my thoughts are evidence or anything, but I thought that was interesting. And this was taken 11/24/2022. You remember a lot of the pictures that were taken, and this doesn't really mean anything, but look in Kaylee's window. There's a window unit. Any of the other pictures that I've seen after the crime, that window unit's no longer there. And I know eventually it boarded up the house and all this stuff, but you know, it was wintertime. I don't know. I wonder if the police took that out or family took it out. I mean, family asked for it. Anything of that nature, you know. So I always thought that was an interesting picture. You know, it's like you got a window unit here, but it's definitely cold. You know, well, maybe she liked the cold room. Who knows? I thought that was a cool picture, though. This is a lady interviewing the neighbor downstairs from Brian's apartment. Listen to what she says.
A night person, not do a lot of things during the day, but during night,
Yeah. Right.
To like clean the floor. Sometimes vacuum. It's very loud sound.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's that's the thing. You know, I keep telling the journalists and reporters that is what we heard from the upstairs.
Yeah. But it was just he was a night person vacuuming or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even sometimes like in the bathroom wash very late to not like what the regular time.
Yeah.
Very late night we would do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we got stuff, and many times.
Did you ever ask him to quiet down or anything? Or?
I actually wanted, but I didn't try.
Yeah.
And once when I met him, we just say hello. I just want to say, could you please keep it quiet because we work out during night and kids in it. But I didn't do that. I think maybe because he just moved in like August, maybe he needs time to get used to.
Sure.
So you heard it. I mean, and you know, there's a lot of individuals that aren't going to really consider anything that's been reported. And I don't understand that at all. I really don't. Like at one point, you have to ask yourself, it's like, what would be the purpose of reporting false information? I mean, I get it, but what would be the point? So yeah, this lady was talking about him vacuuming at night, and later on it was reported, you know, by articles and everything about that. So I thought that was interesting. There's a picture of that white truck again. Like this is from the video of, you know, where she's asking Maddie, what'd you tell Adam? And I thought this was a pretty good picture of this white truck. Too bad you can't read the license plate. That would really tell whose truck it was. But I'm pretty certain that the FBI people probably were able to enhance this where they could read that license plate to find out exactly who that was. Because early on, a lot of people were speculating that this truck had a lot to do with the crime, you know. This was the stalker or whatever. These individuals were signaling, letting people know they were keeping an eye on Maddie and Kaylee. And it could have just been somebody out partying. I mean, who knows? Does anybody know whose truck that was supposedly? I know they had a lot of people attached to this truck. Do y'all remember the name of the person that they attached the truck to? And they were also saying this is the truck that you heard at Linda Lane, you know, at the very end, that people were, you know, climbing in the truck. Truck was loud. Yeah, so Supposedly, people were watching those two. And here's a TikTok video. I got a screenshot of this individual. He's about to talk about some things. And let me stop sharing why I set that up for you. Well, I thought I got his interview. I guess not. Well, he was basically just saying that he was a childhood friend of Kohberger's and basically shocked that, he had been implemented in all these crimes and everything that were supposedly being said against him and everything. And he was kind of shocked at the rest of the world, I'm sure, who knew him. This next picture that I'm going to show is from a student that supposedly sent this to Mr. Kohberger. And this was his response. I'm glad that this course has given you a more nuanced perspective pertaining to criminal justice. Have a great break. December 16th at 7:20 p.m., Brian Kohberger. So that sounds pretty friendly, right? And this is on something called Canvas. Whenever you turn in an assignment, the instructor responds to your grade or they give you some kind of comment on how you can do better. But this person obviously got 125 out of 125 points, and they did great. And that's what Brian supposedly wrote to that student. I thought that was pretty nice, It doesn't sound harsh at all, does it? I'm glad that this course has given you a more nuanced perspective pertaining to criminal justice. Have a great break. And this was a female student that he wrote this to. I saw this and I was trying to figure out what this was. I guess this is from Kopaka's thing. Supposedly, she wrote in his online obituary, June 5th, 2023, RIP, my friend, I miss delivering your favorite meals. And I think that's where that was, from Kopaka. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, because this is what another person says. Sorry you're being tied to Brian Kohberger. You were a good man and fought for this country. It's a shame people are dragging your name through the mud. Rest in peace. Thank you, Brent. So yeah, this was his online obituary, and there's no way of telling if that was really Emma Bailey. But if it was, I mean, interesting. Very interesting. And here's another screenshot that I took from Brian Kohberger, December 16th. Another email. Grades, hey Ava, not a problem. I updated it. Best, Brian. Once again, does that sound like an aggressive teacher assistant? It doesn't. It sounded like a teacher. I mean, I've gotten plenty of these. They're short and to the point. You know what I mean? It's like, good job. Yeah, I went back and changed the grade because you you fixed the problem or you fixed the assignment and you added more detail or this or that to the other. I've gotten plenty of these on Canvas, because that's what I use at my school is Canvas. So, I would say this is pretty legit. I mean, I don't see how you could fabricate that. You know what I mean? But my point is, it doesn't sound aggressive at all. And this is obviously a female, but he used the exclamation points. I don't know if that was just him trying to say the importance of, hey, don't worry about it. I updated it. Don't worry about it. I updated it. No problem. And this is a picture of Dylan after the murders. This was just a random picture. I don't know who that gentleman is. This is something I thought was interesting too. I found this. It says Brian Kohberger told a fellow Washington State University graduate student living in the same on-campus housing complex that he submitted his DNA for consumer genetic testing to explore his ancestry. The neighbor told the Idaho Statesman. Kohberger, 28, was a PhD student at Wazoo's Criminal Justice and Criminology Department. He now stands charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and felony burglary in the killing of 4 University of Idaho students on November 13th. We all know that. Kohberger's neighbor said the two became acquainted while crossing paths on the residential property a handful of times after each moved there in August. The Wazoo PhD student lived across from the apartment where Kohberger resided until recently, and he said the two traded cell phone numbers. So I wonder if that was that guy, Christian Martinez, that he was talking about, or that was interviewed right here. And this is a list of the stuff that they took from his house in Albrightsville. Motherboard, Wazoo paperwork, note from Brian from Montana, medical documents, court documents, note to dad from Brian, colored spiral notebook, dark colored clothes, HP all-in-one computer, dark clothes and laundry basket, Taylor cutlery knife with leather sheaths, 4 buccal swabs, 2 pair of dark colored boots, 1 pair of brown boots, 1 silver flashlight, 4 medical style gloves, White Arizona Jean Company large t-shirt, Champion Wazoo large black t-shirt, pair of black and white size Nike shoes, size 13. And this is another article that I thought was interesting. That August evening, the 2 grad students ran into each other in the large housing complex parking lot next to their building, the man said during an interview at his apartment. Kohberger then asked him if he wanted to walk and talk, he said. And the 2 got to know each other after a while, taking laps around the asphalt parking area. During the discussion, Kohberger asked the neighbor, who is not from the U.S., whether he could identify Kohberger's ancestral background. The man said. The neighbor said he guessed Italy before Kohberger stated that he was of German descent. He talked about his ancestors. The 30-year-old neighbor said he had some sort of DNA test. I don't know how he got to that point. It was just interesting to him. And there's another part of the list. I've always thought that number 1 was interesting because it just says knife. It doesn't say anything about that. What type of knife? The other parts say exactly what type of knife. Book with underlining page 118, AT&T bill, a Glock 22 generation 40 cal, Smith & Wesson pocket knife, folder containing vehicle paperwork, Acer laptop, green leafy substance in green container, documents, green leafy substance in a plastic bag, white paper with password, power cable, cell phone, 3 Glock 40 caliber magazines empty. I don't know what books are. Black face mask, prescription. And that's some more of the stuff that they took. And this was written by Kara, which is Xana's mom. She said, shakes my head. Like I said, though, I find it very interesting how BK's professor or anyone who hung out with and spoke to my daughter and her friend that night have not said hardly a peep. Not even something like, hey, yeah, I was at that bar and I saw Kaylee and Maddie, spoke with them. Nothing. Or, hey, yeah, Ethan and Xana were at the Sigma Chi party. Ethan got into a bit of a scuffle with Loach, but Xana broke it up. No big deal, nothing. Yeah, and I know that happened because she happened to talk to her father that night when they left the party. I'm not saying it had anything to do with anything. That's why I want to know more about it, though. There's a whole lot that could. Let's see. Be said and explained, and therefore help answer questions. What are FBK did not act alone? What if he was paid by someone to do it? What if he's innocent and someone did it? There's still a whole lot of questions and not nearly enough answers. We simply do not know. I don't know. You don't know. At the moment, none of us do. Since when do we just not thoroughly investigate a crime, much less one so horrid as this one? If you can see the logic in that, then I'm sorry, and I pray to God nothing like this could happen to your own child. This was my daughter, though. I want no stone left unturned. I'm going to make sure it won't be. I would hope all would be on the same page. That's true. I mean, you would hope. You would hope that somebody would not take everything lightly, you know? Here's another interview. I don't know if y'all remember this one.
It was bad. She called me and asked me about the murders. I didn't know where she was going with it until she said that it was Brian Koberger, and naturally I freaked out and called about 8 of my friends. My brother was really good friends with him. My other friend Brandon was really good friends with him. I'm gonna have a picture of him with him on the green screen as well. I'm shaking still, but anyway, let me show you. This is Brandon, the one I was talking about. That's his wife Brianna. That's me. This was back in 2017. Obviously, that's Brian. Still has the dead face that it's the eyes. I don't know. But when I spoke to him back in 2017, he was clean. He was a heavy heroin user back in high school, and it was just nice to see the kid clean up. And at that time, he said he was doing security detail. I believe it was out of school is what he told me. But he seemed like he was better. Obviously, that wasn't true. Here's another picture from a party that we had at Brandon's house. That's Brian there. He used to be a bigger kid as well. But again, that's him. And then at the same wedding, I'm here, but he's back there. He was sitting at the same table as me and my mother. But he is back there enjoying a drink. I was sitting right next to him. We talked. He seemed fine. My mom sent me the old school yearbook. That was him. Brian Koberger, that's him. He went to Pleasant Valley. Graduated with, I think, my friend Christopher, a year younger than me. This is when he nonchalantly decided to make me drive him around the Poconos for heroin, and I had no idea. I thought I was just doing a nice deed because he needed something, and it turns out that he was getting heroin. Sorry, I'm like, my voice is shaking. I might make a part 2. I probably have to. I don't have a 6-minute feature. I only have a 3-minute feature. I also talk really fast, so I'm sorry.
It's interesting. I know we've probably seen this before, so I thought this was, I got this from somebody's page. So I thought, what are they trying to say here? Truly this happy when I work with this person. So Kaylee's wearing black gloves, as you can see. And this person was trying to say that these are the gloves that were found in the front yard. These nitrate looking gloves, which nobody knows. I mean, nobody really knows. I just thought it was interesting that she's wearing those type of gloves. I had those type of gloves on in the video too. So I mean, they're readily accessible. So people usually wear those gloves when they're cooking your food or they're pouring your drinks or whatever, because they don't want to get their stuff on your stuff. So she worked at Dutch Brothers. So I thought that was interesting that she's wearing those gloves. And possibly that glove that was found in the front yard could have been hers. It says, court records newly obtained by ABC News revealed that Mr. Kohberger was arrested and charged with stealing one of his sister Melissa's cell phones back in 2014. The then 19-year-old had recently left rehab for drug addiction issues and had returned to the family home in Pennsylvania. Then on the 8th of February 2014, he stole a $400 phone and paid a friend $20 to pick him up and take him to a local mall, where he then sold it for $200. When confronted by his father, Michael, over the theft, Mr. Kohberger chillingly warned him not to do anything stupid. According to the court records, his father reported the incident to the police. Wow, in 2019, an iPhone was only $400. What are they now? Like $1,200? I don't have an iPhone. I have an Android, so I don't know. But that was interesting that, his father reported him to the police, and supposedly, as it said, he told him not to do anything stupid. So it is what it is. The fact of the matter is we don't know one way or the other, and it's interesting how narratives are painted and pushed and everything else. And I by no means am trying to push a narrative by showing any of this stuff. I just wanted to really get on here and finally do this live that I've been wanting to do for a while. I just didn't know how to present it or how to really put it out there without trying to sound one-dimensional. And I hope I did a pretty good job at that. Because the last thing that I would want to do is to sound one-dimensional and to sound like I'm saying he's guilty or innocent or any of that. I mean, one day I'm sure you'll get my belief on that. So that concludes my live. I'm shocked that there's 37 of you that are still up and about. If you would, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and